Hi everybody, Becky Strayer here from Naya Clinics, and in today's video I'll be going over another distress tolerance skill called the stop skill. So oftentimes with clients I'll hear them make statements like, if I could only just stop it, then I'd be fine. And oftentimes it refers to a behavior that's unhealthy, like a feeling that they just don't want to experience, like if I could be less anxious, if I could just stop being anxious, if I could stop getting into unhealthy relationships, things like that. Unfortunately, it's not that easy. However, there is one way that using the word stop can be super helpful, and it's within this skill known as the stop skill. So in Dialectical Behavior Therapy, designed by Marsha Linehan, she formed this skill known as the stop skill, and it's used for before we get into impulsive behaviors. So oftentimes when we have an emotion, it leads to an urge, and then we choose whether to act on that urge or not. Sometimes we forget to do that middle step of stopping before we act on that urge, and then we end up acting before we really had a chance to think it through and use our wise mind before making a decision of, is this actually going to be helpful or hurtful? So the stop skill allows us to pause and feel back in control of that decision-making process and feel back in control of our emotions. So STOP stands for stop, take a step back, observe, and proceed mindfully. So it's helpful to think of a car stopping, and that you're in a car and you come upon a stop sign at a four-way intersection. And kind of picturing that and picturing the sign itself. So the first step, stop. Typically that's the easiest one to remember and the hardest one to do because it requires us to literally stop, freeze. And the reason for this is, first of all, if we're stopped, we can't take any action, that whether it's a good action or a bad action. It literally makes us have to wait for a second and focus on, okay, let me process this. Let me slow down the momentum, basically. And so thinking about it, at a four-way intersection, we stop for our safety. And so same thing here, that first thing we do when we see a stop sign, we stop. That's what we need to do before we act on emotions. So the first step, stop. The second one is to take a step back. So when we take that step back, think of it almost as the car like settling back for a sec. It allows you to actually view everything. So that taking a step back, and that can be literally or figuratively. It might be taking a break in a heated conversation. Saying like, you know what, let's pause this and let's come back to it. Or before acting like, okay, let me actually just physically take that step back. And that way I can kind of look around and go on to what the next step is, which is observe. So when we're observing, we are trying, first of all, to stay objective about what we're observing, but also paying attention to all of the input. So that might look like doing a body scan and saying like, what am I feeling on the inside? Are my fists clenched? Is my face like hot? You know, things like that. Am I shaking? Is my voice louder, slower, faster? Things like that. Excuse me. So paying attention to those internal signs. Other things will be the external. Paying attention to the environment. Like, do I feel safe in this environment? What's going on? What might be going on with the other person? You can check the facts. And the reason I say to do this objectively, a lot of times when we have emotions, it comes with a certain lens. So if I'm feeling anxious, the lens that I am wearing is typically saying, oh, everybody's looking at me, everybody's judging me negatively. People are thinking this about me, people are thinking that, instead of being able to see the clear picture of it. And so by looking at it objectively, we can get a better idea of what's going on. And this is, of course, trying your best to look at it objectively. Emotions will still be there, you know, but being able to see a little bit more clearly what's going on. So instead of saying, yeah, he's about to punch me in the face, and like he's been cussing me out and screaming in my face this whole time, what objectively might be going on is I see that his fists are clenched by his side, and then the volume of his voice is raised compared to his face, and something like that, so that we can actually see what's going on in a clear mindset. And so think of it too, when we're driving a car, what do? We observe all four stops. We're looking at, okay, this car got there first. Where are the other cars? What directions are they going? Are there any other hazards potentially in the road? If I keep going forward, is there someone trying to back up in that moment from their driveway that I might hit? Or is there an animal on the side? Things like that that we pay attention to, and that way we can make the most effective decision, which leads to the last step, proceed mindfully. And so when we proceed mindfully, we look at what would be the most effective and the healthiest option. What do we want to do that would actually give us the outcome that leads us towards our goals? And when I say goals, not the goal necessarily to win the argument or to get what I want, but the goals that will be the healthiest, the most effective goals. And so with this, we might want to look at, like, when we're driving. Okay, so proceeding mindfully. So I'm going to let the car that got there first go ahead of me, and that way I'm not creating any kind of traffic collisions or anything like that. I drive ahead, but I see that there's a deer on the side of the road. So I want to be mindful. That deer might run out in front of me. Let me slow down a little bit and proceed cautiously as well, just so I can make sure that, I'm safe, everyone else is safe too. And so by doing that, we're able to make the best decision possible and also feel back in control of our emotions. So when we go into that stop it mentality, by stopping it and actually using the stop skill, we can feel back in control and feel like we are in charge of our actions, which is very empowering and very helpful. So again, before the next time you are thinking about acting impulsively, or you want to cuss out that customer service rep right now, or texting your ex because we're feeling isolated, lonely, things like that, using the stop skill can be extra helpful and make sure that you're making a decision that fits what you want what's best for you. All right. I hope you are all staying well, staying safe, and I will hopefully see you again soon.